Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining us, and I'd like to request your good wishes and your blessings so that we can begin to look at the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In that way, try to increase our Gyan, knowledge, and also Bhakti towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also to please Him, which is the most important thing. Once we please the Supreme Lord, then we will have achieved our aim. If He's happy, then the whole world can be unhappy with us. It doesn't matter, because He's happy with us. So, we've been chanting the Gita Mahatmya, at least one verse before we start reading the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the second verse from the Gita Mahatmya. Many of the scriptures, the Puranas, contains glorification of the Bhagavad Gita. It's such an important scripture. So today we can recite the second verse together, and it goes like this: Gita Dhyayana Silasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Shantihi Papani Purva Janma Kritani.
If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Generally, the Lord does not interfere with the karmic reactions that we will suffer. Although He, of course, He can do anything He wants, but generally He does not interfere with material nature. But if we look at this verse from Lord Shiva, he's saying actually, by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of our past karma may not act on us if we take to the Bhagavad Gita very seriously. So, very interesting comment there. So, I wanted to do a brief overview before we do go into chapter 2, what it's about. Chapter 2 is an incredible chapter. It's called, Srila Prabhupada names it Contents of the Gita Summarized, which interestingly is what also Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls it. Otherwise, the Sanskrit name for this chapter is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is basically determining the difference between matter and spirit. But in this chapter, there are four main themes. One is that Arjuna continues with his defiance of not wanting to fight, but he begins to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, knowing that this problem is a lot bigger than he can understand. So he takes shelter of the Lord. That's the first theme. Second theme is the Lord immediately puts him on the transcendental platform by instructing him about who he actually is. And the third theme of this chapter is he describes the duties of a person in this world. And then the fourth theme of this chapter is he's describing the symptoms of one who has fulfilled his duties and realized the truth, the absolute truth. So this is the brief overview of chapter 2. And chapter 1, as we saw yesterday, is observing the armies on the battlefield. Arjuna is wanting to see who is there to fight. And he gets weakness of heart when Krishna pulls up in front of the Kuru Kaurav army. And he gave many reasons why he did not want to fight this war. So let's make a start. Now, Kamakshi, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu, I don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Text number 1. Sanjay said, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana Krishna spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but no infamy. Text 3. O son of Pratha, do you yield to this degrading importance? It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise. O chastiser of the enemy. Text number 4. Arjun said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? Text 5. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superior. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Text number 6. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Text 7. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is the best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Do I carry on?
Yes.
Text number 8. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Text 9. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjun chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Text 10. O descendant of Bharat, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So this is the first 10 verses. Thank you very much, Kamakshi. That was very nicely read. Very clear.
Thank you.
So in summary, he's saying to Krishna, I am determined not to fight. But at the same time, Arjuna is torn, confused. And finally, he approaches Krishna in a mood of humility. I am in dire need of guidance, he says. Please enlighten me so that I can mitigate my miserable condition. So for the first time, Arjun has actually taken a step in spirituality, a humble step. He's approached a guru, the ultimate guru, Sri Krishna himself. And the lesson to learn for us is, if we want to progress in our spirituality, we also have to take shelter of a spiritual master, not just any spiritual master, a spiritual master who comes down the line of disciplic succession in an authentic line of teachers. Now, according to the Vaishnava tradition, there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. There's a Sri Sampradaya, There's the 4 Kumara Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, and then there's the Sampradaya that we are in, which is the Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya. And it is important to have a spiritual master who is in line, in connection with his spiritual master, who is in line with his spiritual master, who is in line with his spiritual, going back traditionally all the way back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why is that important? Because it's the chain of learning that is unbroken. That's the important thing. So that we are still following the authentic teachings by the original teacher. And in our case, in this Sampradaya, the original teacher is Sri Krishna himself, because he gave this knowledge to Lord Brahma, who then passed it on to Narad Muni, to Vyasdev, to Shukadev Goswami, went via Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, comes down into the current acharyas, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gokishodas Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our own A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Now, for most things in life, we need some instruction, some guidance. If you want to become a mathematician, you need to study maths under the qualified teachers. If you want to become a doctor, it's not like you go to a library and study a couple of books and voila, you're a doctor. No, you need to go to an authorized college and learn, take exams, and pass the tests. And then you become a doctor. So spiritual discipline is no different. It has to be an authorized school, and there are tests and there are examinations along the way. Now, we hear many arguments why I don't need a spiritual master. Well, my spirituality is contained within me, and to a certain degree, of course, we are spirit souls, but we've lost our connection, actually, with ourselves, because we have now started to identify with this body, which is material. If we identified ourselves as spirit souls and acted in that way with full realization, that's a little bit different matter. However, our condition is that we are contaminated because of our association with this material world and under the illusion that we are this body. And many people say, well, I accept myself, I teach myself, my opinion matters. And of course, everybody's opinion matters, but ultimately, if we are blind, then how can we lead ourselves, let alone lead others? One who accepts himself as a guru accepts a fool for a disciple. That's a very nice saying. Now, the argument is often that I don't need a guru. Why should I accept? Why is this forced on me? Or what is the purpose of that, of having a guru? We've sort of touched on that. The Lord himself sets the standard. He is all-knowing, omniscient, and he's the absolute truth. He sets the standard. He makes the rules. But when he comes to this world, he accepts a spiritual master. As Krishna, he accepted Sandipani Muni, who taught him all the various arts. He didn't need to learn the arts because he's Krishna, he's Supreme Lord. He already knows all the sciences. But still, when he comes to this world to set the standard, he accepts a spiritual master. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none different from Radha and Krishna, when he comes to this world, he accepts a spiritual master. And in fact, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted a spiritual master, there was a huge transformation in his personality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he demonstrated the effect of taking a spiritual master, the impact that can have or will have on one's consciousness. So it's very important. This instruction, these first 10 verses of the Bhagavad Gita give us this strong indication, strong lesson that we need to take shelter of a spiritual master. And if we've already taken shelter of a spiritual master, which many of us have in this discussion, then we need to improve, rededicate ourselves to the process of the Guru. We can never be a perfect disciple. We can always improve. We have to always improve. It's not that I've taken a Guru and that's it, I am now perfect. No, taking a Guru is the very beginning of spiritual life. So if one has taken shelter of a spiritual master, and that spiritual master is still present in this world, then one hears more humbly from that spirit. One inquires more humbly from that spiritual master. If the spiritual master has left this world, gone back to the spiritual world, he will have left many instructions. And it is not that the spiritual master is gone, but he is there in his instructions. So we rededicate ourselves to his instructions. So this is the essence of this lesson, or the first lesson on chapter 2. If there's any comments, Madhusudan Babu, would you like to add anything, please?
No, it's a good start. And Hari Bol, Hare Krishna to everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It's just, and to Guru Maharaj. Yeah, very important that, you know, these points are raised, and only when Arjun surrenders to Krishna and says, Shishyastes mam sadimama, that I am now becoming your disciple. Up till then, Krishna and Arjun had just a very, you know, relationship, which was like a friend and a relative as such. That, you know, met on so many occasions and doing different activities. But as soon as Arjun surrenders at this point, that is when Krishna takes on the role of a master, and a disciple relationship starts. And then it becomes a duty of the spiritual master or guru to dispel all illusions and completely get Arjuna out of ignorance and not leave him in half illusion and all confused state or anything. It becomes his duty now. So Krishna takes on that duty to actually take him out of ignorance and bring him into the total light of knowledge. And that is what, you know, the Vedic scriptures say, Atato Brahma Jignasa, you know, one must inquire and, you know, Tamasima Jyotirgama, come out of the light of dark, come out from the darkness of ignorance and come into the light of knowledge. That is the Vedic aphorisms and all that. You know, the importance is given all the time that, you know, we need to come out of ignorance. But in order to do that, like you pointed out here, you know, that we do need a spiritual master. And the original spiritual master is Krishna himself. He's re-establishing this parampara here with Arjuna. So it's a good start. And obviously,
you made a very good point. Sorry to disturb you there, Madhusudan, but that then there's a duty that falls on the spiritual master once the disciple has surrendered onto him. So I really like that point. Because the disciple has to be humble, but then the spiritual master has a duty to fulfill. That's why the spiritual master needs to be in this authentic line of teachers so that he can actually fulfill his duty. I like that point.
And that the spiritual master is a transparent via medium, that he is telling what Krishna is telling and not, you know, misguiding or anything like that. So obviously he represents Krishna. All Guru represents. So he's a transparent medium. Prabhupada says, you know, I'm just relaying on what Krishna says. Prabhupada never said, I'm saying this, and this is my philosophy, and this is mine. Just Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says this. This is how Krishna likes. And so he's totally, representing Krishna all the time.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Any questions from anybody regarding taking a spiritual master, a guru? Any doubts? Why should I have to do this?
I think one
Sorry?
Yeah, one of the points is that why Krishna? People would argue, well, Krishna was just a human being. He came like a human being on this planet. He did activities like a human being. And so he goes through birth, death, all like everything. So why Krishna? And, then there are, in the purport, Prabhupada emphasizes so many, in so many purports that Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So many literature references, like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it'll say Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. And then, emphasizing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And is the absolute truth. And that also, three references that, will make the absolute truth can only be known in three aspects. Just like, when Prabhupada gives the example of, if you want to understand the sun, you can't just study the sunshine. You can get a PhD in sunshine, and then your knowledge is still not absolute because you don't know anything about the source of the sunshine. You don't know the surface of the sun. You don't know what the sun planet itself. So, it's that three aspects of the absolute truth, Brahmeti Bhagwan Iti. So, isn't it? There's that verse, so
That's right.
The three aspects. So, it's got to know absolute. To know the absolute truth, you have to have the complete knowledge. So, in the purport, Prabhupada, emphasizes that. Okay, go on. You will carry on, Nabi. If there are any more points, then we'll talk more.
Yes.
This is a long chapter, and there's so many important things. And
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll finish this chapter today, and that's fine because we've catered for this chapter to be done in two parts at least. So let's move to the next point. So the first theme is Arjun submits himself to Krishna because he understands that this problem is far, far bigger than he understands, and he's requiring guidance from Sri Krishna, and he humbly submits himself. I am now your student.
I think that is a very important point because it's very difficult for people to come to that point of say, I need to be guided. We don't like to admit that, it's our pride and our arrogance and whatever,
That's
it's like, if I want to fix my TV is gone wrong, I don't want to go to the instruction booklet. I just think that I'm going to do it myself. And finally, when I struggle, then I think, I need to get instructions, somebody to guide me and get me out of this mess,
Yeah.
So that's a very important point. But it has to be in that humble mood, But there's always that initial resistance of our brain, our mind, always just telling us, why do you want to do it? You can do it. You say, yeah. But we need that guidance.
Yeah, why should we become humble? We can do it ourselves. We're intelligent enough.
Yeah, and like you said, if you want to learn anything in life, maths, we've always been taking on some form of teacher from the very beginning, and I've been a teacher for all my life, teaching science, but not the spiritual knowledge. This is spiritual science. And only you can recognize the students who are going to do well are the ones who are submissively going to listen, follow instructions, and advance. But then those who are arrogant, you just feel, I don't think I can, his ego is too big. I don't think I can penetrate through this ego and try and teach him anything. Maybe he'll struggle and find them himself.
Right. I think what I'd like to say to devotees is If there are no questions on this point, no comments, can I assume that everybody is in general agreement that in order to learn the spiritual science, that we have to take shelter of a higher authority? I presume that people are in a general agreement with that point. And this, because this is a very important point when we're looking at spirituality. So Siona is saying definitely. Thank you, Siona. Why do you say that? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot. Yes, Siona. Okay, we'll wait for you. Priti, you have a question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Oh, sorry.
We can hear
Sorry,
you.
I thought I unmuted. Sorry.
That's okay.
I thought I unmuted myself. I said I'm a Reiki healer.
Okay.
So the spiritual master is Master Yushi Mikhails, and I did a research on him before I studied Reiki. So I do feel it's essential that we research the spiritual masters before we undertake any, work. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's important that we basically do our research before we go any further. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and you're right. You had a good point, actually. It's very important to also assess the spiritual master, the guru, because if the guru is genuine, then our spiritual progress will be rapid and it'll be in a consistent line. If the guru, however, is not genuine, for argument's sake, then we will be none the wiser. If we go to a college to learn to become an accountant, if it's not an authorized college to teach accountancy, then no matter how many years we spend in that college, we'll never become an accountant.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So it's a nice point, actually, Siona. Thank you. Thank you for that. Huh? Thank you. Priti, you have a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I wanted to ask if not right now, later you can say how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed once he got his initiation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be nice to know what happened, because I've asked a lot of, not a lot, but people I've come across who got initiated when I knew them before initiation and after. I said, okay, what's changed? And they'll be like, nothing. And I'm like, okay. So I see that sometimes if you might get stuck somewhere, it's always nice to have someone to speak to. So regarding the spiritual sense, to just speak to about something, if you can't find the answers in a book or somebody or a lecture or anything, then it's nice to have someone to have that one-to-one to like how Arjun and Krishna were there, because I'm sure Arjun had access to Vedas and all that from, I don't know whether it was by mouth or whatever, but it was still good for him to have somebody to speak to who was well versed in all that and more. So yeah,
that's a very good point. There's a couple of issues, things there. When you have somebody who you can approach, one, you can serve that person. When you serve a higher authority, then the blessings come. With the blessings come a huge amount of knowledge and gyan, which actually becomes vigyan, wisdom. And when you inquire from somebody who's well versed, not just hearing a lecture or reading, but you inquire somebody, again, based on the humility of the inquiry and the how pleased the higher authority is, he can say some words, but it can actually transmit vigyan, wisdom. It's not just knowledge, but wisdom with the knowledge, how to apply that knowledge. So that is very important. And in terms of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very quickly, what happened, before he was very argumentative. He loved to debate. He would debate an argument one way, and when the other party would admit defeat, he would debate the argument the other way, showing that you could have won the argument if you argued like this. And everybody tried to avoid him. They would cross the road when they saw him. Like we were talking about Gadadhar Pandit, you cross the road and avoid Nimai. But he loved Nimai, but just this argumentative nature was just too much. But when he took initiation, his mood completely changed. He started chanting the Maha Mantra Ishwarapuri gave him, and suddenly his mood was, where is Krishna? I can't see Krishna.
Sorry, what was that, Prabhu? His mood was?
Where is Krishna?
Sorry?
Separation from Krishna.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Huge separation from Krishna. And then he went to his spiritual master and said, what sort of mantra have you given me? I've gone mad. It seems like I'm just hankering for Krishna now. And then everybody realized, actually, hey, he's now manifesting the mood of Radharani, who was always in the mood of separation from that. In terms of initiation, I mean, we can probably share a few things about how we felt when we took initiation. It was an amazing lifting of the burden of material life, at least for a short period of time for me. How did you feel?
Yeah, it was, ecstatic, because you sort of connected to the disciplic succession, through the Guru, and you feel as if you blessed really to serve Srila Prabhupada and his mission in that way, and being able to. I know we were chanting 60 rounds before, but chanting 60 rounds after, it just was so blissful as well. It was just, you're on a high as well when you're chanting, and you want to chant as well, and you want to serve your Guru as well as much as you can. That's how I felt.
See, can I call upon Amita Krishna Prabhu? I'm going to put you on the spot. He is the devotee who has recently taken initiation about 6 months ago.
No.
Or was it more now?
Yeah,
9 months.
been,
9 months. Yeah, nearly 9 months.
In September.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you.
Would you like to share?
I thought you might put me on the spot.
You know me too well. No, that's not good.
It's been nearly 10 months now, so
wow.
It's flying past, but it's really good. I did feel very humble when I was accepted, and he gave me initiation, and you do have this connection with him, and a lot of people think, oh, you might not get one-to-one connection with your spiritual master.
Mm.
But, my spiritual master is in Hungary and I'm in London, basically, but you still have this communication via email, or he travels, he comes to London, you meet him then, and he does point out a lot of things that you can do and what you should be doing. So he gives you a lot of teachings, and you learn a lot, and it's very nice to meet him and serve him, and connect with him all the time. And he makes you very humble as well. You can't get out of line, basically. He's like a master teacher, God there. So it's really good. Yeah.
And his name is His Holiness Shivaram Swami. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful devotee of the Lord. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Nabi, there's just for a general comment that, when taking initiation and all that, as long as it's in one of those disciplic successions, and then we have done a bit of a research, found out who the genuine spiritual master is, or because there are so many so-called gurus as well, and we can fall into that trap of so many. There's it's like as if it's a fashion to have a guru, family guru, and he's just like a status symbol, I have a guru. But then because I came across some people like that, and I found one chap in Hardwar, and this guru, he said he's my guru, and I said, how do you know he's your guru? I mean, looking from the characteristics of his guru, he was smoking and he was just nonsense. And I thought, he's got no control over himself, and how is he a guru of this guy?
Right.
And then this guy said, no, but it's just like, I got to have a guru. So I got to have a guru. So find anybody and become a guru.
Yeah.
But then sometimes the disciple, we as human beings, we think we're going to have some sort of like a mystical kind of experience, like I'm going to be super zapped or something. Something will happen to me when I take initiation. It's nothing like that. It's actually our service mood that enhances.
Yeah.
And the connection is with spiritual, with the Supreme Lord, because the Guru's job is to connect you with Krishna, not kind of give you some kind of, mystical experience and then thinking, why, see, I so there's a danger of that, actually. So taking on a guru and knowing that he is Krishna's representative is follow his instructions. So Krishna will be revealed to us more and more. And we find that we, like you say, Lord Chaitanya felt separation from Krishna as soon as he realized, who am I? I'm a spirit soul. And like Arjun also, he felt, I've got to follow Krishna's instructions now. And that's what a disciple does, So, yeah.
Very good, very good. That's a superb point. Guru is not a fashion. It's a very, very serious and grave
and only take on a guru when you seriously want to get out of these miseries of material world.
Yes.
But we don't know that this is the miseries of the material world. That's why in one of the purports, Prabhupada explains how the difference between Kripana and a Brahmana. In one of the verses, in the purport, where it says, Kripana is a miserly person, whereas a Brahmana is a liberal-minded person. Kripana thinks that, I am here just to enjoy myself. This is the material world. And just like Kripana is like someone who's just human being, lives a life, dies like cats and dogs, like animals do, and wastes the human form of life that is a great gift that has been given to all of us. And we don't take advantage of this human birth by inquiring and taking advantage of this human birth rather than just living. So there's a difference between Kripana and a Brahmana. It's quite explained in a nice purport if people have time to go into the purports. But someday we can discuss more on that.
I think that's a good point as well. At some point, devotees, after this discussion, it's very good to read these purports, that purport as well, especially to this purport 2.7, second chapter, 7th verse, very important. I wanted to ask Naniben to read the next section. But Naniben, have you got a question?
Yes, I was going to ask. Now, coming to the guru question,
yes.
That you just mentioned that sometimes we find a guru and we get stuck with it and then we don't progress. So what happens in that situation if we are finding as we go along that there's not establishing any rapport with this guru and I'm not progressing anywhere?
That's why we assess the guru, and the guru assesses us. It's a two-way process.
Okay.
Before we take initiation, especially in this, there is it used to be 6 months. I think it's 1 year now. 1 year you have to observe the guru and he observes you and serve. And we need to hear the guru. It's not seeing the guru that's important. It's hearing him. What is he saying? Is he inspiring me? And the person who inspires you the most is naturally going to be your spiritual master. And there are different types of spiritual masters. There's those who give diksha, who take the commitment that you promise to chant 16 rounds, I promise to take you back to Godhead. And then there's the different type of guru, who's the shiksha guru, who will give you instructions, and through following those instructions, you progress spiritually. The beauty of ISKCON is that you're not limited to one guru. Ultimately, we have the greatest guru, Srila Prabhupada, because he's written all these phenomenal books for us. And instructions on those books are very clear. So in Krishna consciousness, we are very lucky, I would say, that we won't have this stagnate period unless we are stagnant. If we are stagnant, hey, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
But Prabhupada is the most dynamic of spiritual masters. So he's always there as Shiksha Guru. So we will never stop making progress unless we ourselves stop ourselves. What do
And
you
the
think?
only thing I add is there's only one Diksha Guru. You can have many Diksha Gurus as well.
Good.
So you can approach any senior devotees really for Diksha. That's not, it's not limited to just your guru.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So let's read the next. Daniben, are you okay to read?
Yeah.
About 20 odd verses, and it's
Okay.
now covering the second theme of this chapter.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. The
Right.
Supreme Text 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what it is not worth of any grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Text 12. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Text 13. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Text 14. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and the deep disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception or scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Text 15. O best among the men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Text 16. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Text 17. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Text 18. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. Text 19. Neither he who thinks the living entity of the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. Text 20. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Text 21. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Text 22. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Text 23. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, not withered by the wind. Text 24. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Text 25. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Text 26. If, however, you think that the soul for the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. Text 27. One who has taken his oath, his birth, is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Text 28. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Text 29. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing. And some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Text 30. O descendant of Bharat, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you did not grieve for any living being.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Naniman. There was a lot in those 20 verses. Essentially, what the Lord is explaining, that the body is destructible, but the soul, and that is what you are, or I am, everybody else is not destructible. And you can see in this wonderful painting how this child grows from a baby to a young man, to a youth, a young man, and then old man. So the body keeps changing, but the soul within that body, which is driving the body, remains the same. And the soul is eternal, as Krishna said, Natvevam Chatunasam, that it will remain in the future. It's permanent. It doesn't die when the body dies. So the soul moves into another body, and the cycle of birth and death continues forevermore for those who are in this material world. So just a summary, Krishna is explaining that just in essence, just like a driver operates a car or a bird lives in the cage, we, the spirit soul, are similarly using this body, but we, although living in this body, we also different from this body. We are operating this body to perform activities, fulfilling our desires and interacting with the world around us. The lesson to take from this is that this is the very first instruction that the Guru will give to the disciple. And that's what Krishna does. He immediately takes Arjuna from the bodily platform to a spiritual platform. Immediately, this is the very first instruction Krishna gives to Arjuna. What an amazing start. He takes him out of this world and into the spiritual world immediately. So at every moment, our body is changing. We don't have the same body that we were when we were children, but that we still remains the same person. So what is it that is not changing? This is what Krishna defines as jiva, spirit soul. And it's important to realize our true identity as spirit soul. Otherwise, we will continuously undergo this process of reincarnation without even knowing it, knowing anything about it. We'll have to accept material body after body, depending on our karma and on our desires, our consciousness. That determines our next life. And the subsequent sufferings that will come and the distresses of this world, we will just have to keep undergoing. So the lesson to take from this, this is a little bit of a practical lesson, teaching. At least once a day, look in the mirror. Probably one time we look in the mirror, it definitely is in the morning when we're doing our brush. And say to ourselves, I am not this body. I am pure spirit soul, servant of the supreme spirit soul, Sri Krishna. So this is something that we can do. If we say this every day to ourselves, at some point the penny will drop. Because it's hard to immediately realize this, because all of our life we've identified with this body, and so has everybody else identified us with this body. So it's very natural to just think that we are this body, and to suddenly be told everything you know is completely illusion and wrong is not easy to immediately accept and connect and understand. So but we can do it step by step, day by day.
Yes, Guru Maharaj's first instructions to everyone. This material life is not for sense gratification, it's for self-realization. He always used to say that in every single class.
Self-realization. So now the time is nearly 5. Can we have a couple of questions on this point, if there are any questions? This is the second theme of this chapter. We've got 2 more themes which we will take on Monday. Tomorrow, we have Anant Vijay, who is going to give a class on devotional service.
See.
Siona? Yes. Do you have a question, Siona?
Hello?
Hi,
Can
yes.
you hear me?
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah, hiya. Yes, yeah, I do. I was just going to say, by saying this is basically like an affirmation. Is that right? I am not the body. I am pure spirit soul.
Yes, it's an affirmation.
Yeah. Is it spiritual soul or spirit soul? It's meant to say.
Oh, yeah, I probably got a typo wrong there.
That's all right. It's okay. It's just so when I write it down, I know.
It's supposed to be spirit. I am pure
Spirit soul. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pure.
Yeah. So it's okay. So after saying this, will I become more spiritual? Awaken, I suppose, is the best way to explain it.
Yes, what it will do is you're telling yourself basically that I am spirit soul. I am not this body. That's our real position. We are actually spirit soul because that's what we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, and that is what we accept. And it makes a lot of sense, especially if you look at that changing bodies painting. That body is constantly changing, but we are the same. So what is it that is the same? And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is explained that we are the spirit soul. It's not completely easy to change the consciousness. That's why we need to get ourselves thinking about this. We keep preaching to ourselves. We're preaching to ourselves basically that we are not this body. So don't identify with this body. So much so that we miss the whole point of life. If we just identify with this body and nothing else, we've missed the whole point of life because we're not even this body. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
And Nabi, if I can,
yes, please,
a few points. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and Sienna just asked the question, and it's so important because we so identify ourselves with the body so much, and then that's the whole every human. There's no education system that ever teaches and brings the human race onto this level to start their spiritual journey, to say that it actually starts with thinking that, not thinking, but to accept the fact that we are actually a spirit soul, but we're so much identified with the body that everybody is just fighting over the body. And in one of the purports, Prabhupada actually kind of say something about that. It's like a skin disease, that everybody's just looking at the skin and say, oh, he's black, he's white, he's American, he's this identity with the body. And I remember one case when I was working in the prison, I had access to the library and I was looking at this Guinness Book of Record. And in that, there was this, first time I found out, in the Far East, in Indonesia or somewhere, there's this culture of keeping their ancestors' body in the house for a long time. They just don't bury it, or they just don't do anything with it, just keep it there. And then once in a year, they dress the body up and take it out for a walk.
Wow.
This is the kind of culture that develops, because you're so identified with the body.
Right.
Then some just bury the body, thinking body is so important that in the next life. You can see how the Egyptian empire, the civilization was based on the pharaohs will take all this gold and all these things that in the next life, because it's their body that's going to go into the next life. But it's not that the body goes into the next life, it's the soul that carries on over to the next life, and the soul takes on with it the mind, the body, the actions and the reactions, all that. I mean, that is another where Srimad Bhagavatam goes into it a bit more as to what goes with the soul, but the body remains here. But we are so much in preserving the body They used to embalm the body, the old Egyptian pharaohs, and you can see that, you know, all civilizations have been based on just identifying with the body. Wars are being fought on this color, skin color and all sorts of things, you know. So, but to bring to the platform of understanding that we are the spirit soul, and that's where equality starts. We see everybody with an equal vision, that everybody is a spirit soul, and go beyond the skin and the body.
Very good point, that actually we're all on the same equal spiritual level as spirit soul. Very nice point. Bodies might be different, so be it. But spiritually, we're identical.
Equality starts there.
Yeah, nice point. I like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nabi. Thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah, no.
That time.
You know, you sometimes I might forget. You always have to dive in. You got some good nectar to share. Anybody like to ask a question?
I just want to tell thank you very much, because it's very good motivation for going forward to see, to go to, because I wanted really dreaming now about initiation.
Right.
And I want to see my guru.
Yes.
To meet my guru, because I'm really now understood what is it with one will change my life.
Yes, yes. There will be. It's very, very nice, because when we take shelter of a guru, we have basically taken out all of the worry in our world and placed it at the lotus feet of the guru. It's his duty. As long as we do our duty, his duty is to take us back to Godhead.
And I want to tell you, you and Mataji Jayanti for me as guru, because really you always looking after me, helping me, not stopping, and always
unfortunately
advise me.
Yeah. She's good, but I'm an idiot.
No.
And I declare that publicly. Anybody else like to share anything? We can spend a few minutes tomorrow, oh no, sorry, Monday, if anybody's got any questions. Geeta, have you got a question?
No, it's really good good topic today, Prabhu. I've been waiting for this.
Oh yeah, sorry, you did ask a few months ago.
Yeah, but the only thing I wanted to ask, you know, with the initiation process, is that only once you get initiated, or?
Yes, one Diksha Guru.
Yeah.
So one guru who gives you initiation, but it doesn't mean that he's your only guru. You can have many Shiksha Gurus, teaching gurus. So Shiksha Guru means, you know, you go to the temple, local temple, and you meet somebody senior there, and he gives advice or she gives advice. He would be considered like a Shiksha Guru. But there's only one Diksha Guru. So
okay.
That Diksha Guru, he's responsible to, he's responsible for your spiritual advancement to the spiritual world. He makes a commitment that if you follow the rules and the regulation and chant the Mahamantra and read the Srila Prabhupada's books, then he takes the responsibility of taking you back to Godhead. It's a big responsibility.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Very interesting chapter 2.
Chapter 2, and we've only gone through half of it. You wait till the next two themes. No. Yeah.
Can I just?
There's 4 themes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm just thinking, if anyone wants to be a spiritual, I think the best thing, you know, there's a Guru Disciple course people do, and also you can do it online, and that teaches you a lot about how to look for the right guru and what the procedures are and stuff like that. So
very good point.
A way to go for looking for right spiritual master.
So there's a Guru Disciple course and they are online. Amita Krishna Prabhu did one online.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And it's very helpful to do that in order to understand the position of the Guru, our position, and it helps one also decide what to look for in a Guru. Thank you for sharing that.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think let's put a close to it today, now. And on Monday we can continue with any comments. You'll have a couple of days to reflect on what's been said as well. That will also may generate some comments or questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. We've sorry we've run over a little bit. Apologies for that. But this is such an important area of discussion. It's worth spending that little bit of extra time. So, Karuna Banda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. We'd like you to lead.
Thank you for wonderful class, Prabhuji.
No, thank you. Actually, we should ask your realizations. Maybe on Monday you can share what happened when you took initiation. That'd be interesting to hear.
Okay.